This is a story between humans and aliens. It has shown us a future imagination in which aliens attack humans. Let's start the story. It's 1914, and a professor, Piccoli, and his student, Billy. They're checking out an old Egyptian temple, trying to decode some ancient writing on the walls, so Piccoli is onto something big. An old prophecy that talks about a super bad thing coming in 5,000 years. It's supposed to pop out of a black hole and mess everything up. The only way to stop it is with a weapon made up of 4 elements: water, fire, earth, and air. Plus there's this 5th element, a perfect being, that's crucial. Piccoli is stuck on that 5th element part, when suddenly, a priest from a secret order shows up. He offers them some poisoned water, but Piccoli is too smart for that. He tosses the water and suggests wine instead. Out of nowhere, a huge spaceship lands on the pyramid. The priest freaks out, saying, "They're here." These giant robot-like creatures step out of the ship and head toward the guys. The priest spills the beans, saying Piccoli was about to crack the code. The aliens, called Mundoshawans, explain that the priest was their Earth contact. They need the stones and the 5th element because Earth is turning into a war zone. The aliens open up the walls with a key and take the stones and the 5th element in a sarcophagus. Piccoli faints from the craziness, and the priest watches as the aliens fly away. Billy, thinking Piccoli is done for, shoots at the aliens. The priest can't stop him, and as the wall closes, the Mondoshawan leader hands the priest the key and a mission. Fast forward 300 years to 2263. The evil thing from the prophecy, a giant fireball, shows up heading for Earth. A military spaceship is ready to shoot it down, but a priest named Vito Cornelius steps in. He insists that shooting won't work and that the answer is in the prophecy of the 4th and 5th elements. The president isn't buying it and shoots at the fireball. Bad move. The fireball just throws the missiles back, destroying the ship. Back on Earth, there's this guy, Korben Dallas. He's a divorced ex-soldier, now driving a taxi and living in a tiny place with his cat. His buddy Finger calls, and they plan to meet up later. Korben does his usual thing, catching a mugger and taking his taxi for a spin. Back at the big boss's place, Cornelius spills all the details of his theory to the president. He manages to convince the president to let the Mondoshawans, who've got the important elements, come to their turf. While the Mondoshawans are on their way to Earth, these troublemaker aliens, the Mangalores, attack them. The Mangalores snatch the box with the elements and plan to meet up with their human partner, Zorg, who's working for the big bad evil. The government checks out the crash spot and grabs a surviving hand from the Mondoshawans, taking it to their lab. Scientists do some magic DNA stuff and boom, a naked lady pops up on the table. She wakes up and freaks out, speaking some ancient language. One of the military guys messes with her, so she smashes through the glass, knocks the guy out, and grabs his cards. The alarm blares and she escapes through the walls and vents. She ends up on the roof, jumps to flee the cops, and lands on Korben's flying taxi. Korben's curious about her and decides to help her dodge the police. They speed through the streets with cop cars on their tail. Korben pulls some slick moves, loses one cop to a delivery truck, and races through the city, disappearing from the police's radar. The lady asks Korben to take her to a priest named Vito Cornelius, and he finds the guy's place. Cornelius sees some marks on her arm and faints when he figures out she's the 5th element. Not wasting any time, he gets his buddy David, and they prep to meet this 5th element. Meanwhile, Korben takes a peek at the sleeping lady, gives her a kiss, risky move, and she pulls a gun on him. He apologizes, calms her down, and learns her name is Leeloo. Cornelius and David show up, hand her the key to some tomb, and tell Korben to take a hike. Back at his place, Korben calls his buddy Finger, saying sorry for missing their hangout, and spills the beans about Leeloo. Meanwhile, Leeloo checks out 5,000 years of history on Cornelius's computer and figures out the stones are stolen, but she knows where they are. At the same time, Zorg meets up with the Mangalores and their leader, Aknot. Zorg swaps the stones for new weapons, but surprise, the box is empty. Cornelius finds out the Mondoshawans gave the stones to someone trustworthy, and Leeloo was supposed to find that person. They trace it to a hotel called Floston Paradise on planet Floston. A bunch of guys show up, take Cornelius to Zorg, and he tries to force the priest to spill the beans. Zorg chokes on a cherry, and Cornelius saves him. Zorg decides not to kill him and orders his crew to hunt down the stones. Zorg's crew overhears a meeting with the president and learns that the stones are with a diva named Plava Laguna, performing at a charity ball at Floston Paradise. The president sends the military's top agent, Korben Dallas. Soldiers find Korben and tell him they rigged a contest for him to win 2 tickets to Floston Paradise undercover. Leeloo shows up, and Korben convinces the soldiers she's his girlfriend and they hide in his fridge. Cornelius arrives, gun in hand, demanding tickets. The police swarm. Korben hides Leeloo and Cornelius, and they arrest the wrong guy. The Mangalores come, snatch the wrong guy, and the coast clears. Korben brings Leeloo and Cornelius out of hiding. The priest knocks him out, swipes the tickets, and when Korben wakes up, he's on board. Leeloo, Cornelius, and David, with fake passports, head to the airport. Korben shows up, swapping places with David. David spills the beans to Cornelius, who instructs him on the key stuff, while he goes after the other 2. Mangalores try to sneak in as Korben and Leeloo, but get caught by security. Korben gets taken by a flight attendant to meet the flamboyant Ruby Rod. Meanwhile, Cornelius sneaks into the restricted area and gets on the plane. Meanwhile, Zorg gets a not-so-friendly call from Mr. Shadow. The scary dark force tied to the big evil thing. Mr. Shadow tells Zorg to get those stones back or else. Here's a question for you. What will you do if aliens ever attack Earth in the future? How will you survive, or how will you save your loved one and family? Please let me know in the comment box. I want to know. On planet Floston, the rocket plane lands at the hotel. Korben wakes up and realizes Leeloo is nowhere to be found. Leeloo, on the other hand, tracks down Plava Laguna, the diva. The diva's assistant senses Leeloo and asks her to meet Plava Laguna after the concert. While Ruby gives Korben a tour of the hotel and the opera house for his live radio show, the concert starts. Zorg shows up, and Plava Laguna reveals herself as a blue-skinned alien singer. Meanwhile, Mangalores invade the diva's room, grab the box, and Leeloo steps in, showing off some serious martial arts skills she learned from Cornelius's computer. Leeloo knocks out the Mangalores and grabs the box just as Zorg arrives with his gun. She tosses him the box, jumps into an air vent, and Zorg starts shooting at it. The Mangalores take over the hotel, holding guests hostage. One of them shoots Plava Laguna, and Korben hides her. Now with the stones, Zorg plants a bomb and leaves. Back at the opera house, Plava Laguna reveals to Korben that the elemental stones are inside her, and she dies. Zorg is furious when he finds out the box is empty, so he heads back to Floston Paradise. Korben takes down a Mangalore, has Ruby hold a gun to another's head, and opens Plava Laguna's wounds to get the stones. He hands them to Ruby and tells him to guard them with his life. The Mangalores surround the area, and Korben fights back, hiding behind a bar. Ruby crawls to a balcony. Mangalores trap Korben, but he signals Ruby to move. One Mangalore orders him to get down, and he jumps on a plank, sending the alien's head through Ruby's balcony. Ruby holds him down, and the alien panics, shooting at his own crew. Korben grabs a gun and shoots at the remaining aliens. More of them pour in, so Korben and Ruby toss a grenade, hiding under a table to survive the blast. They head to the control room where Mangalores are holding Cornelius and other humans hostage. While taking down some aliens, Korben spots the leader and plans to kill him, thinking it'll make the other Mangalores surrender. Surprisingly, the leader wants to negotiate. Korben steps up and takes him out with one shot. With the hotel back in human hands, Korben finds Leeloo in the diva's room, unconscious. Cornelius and Ruby join him, discovering a bomb. Alarms blare, guests evacuate, and the group rushes to the docks. Zorg returns to his room just as they escape on his ship. Zorg deactivates his bomb, not realizing the last Mangalore activated their own, killing Zorg. Korben, Leeloo, Cornelius, and Ruby safely escape on the stolen ship. On the way to Egypt, Leeloo wakes up, talks to Korben about humans, and they share a sweet moment. Meanwhile, the fireball is rushing toward Earth. The president calls Korben, giving them 2 hours to stop the disaster. Leeloo learns about human wars and is disgusted. They land in the desert, meet David, and head to the temple. Korben puts Leeloo on the center table, and with little time they try to figure out how to activate the weapon. They match the stones but don't know how to open them. Korben tries to wake Leeloo and ask for help, but she can only give a cryptic message in her dazed state. Wind blows, fire burns, rain falls. With 3 minutes left, David, desperate, stands in front of his stone and suddenly it moves. The group huddles around, and Korben figures out they need to mimic the elements. He blows on the box and a glowing golden stone pops out. David dumps sand into the earth box, revealing the earth stone. Cornelius wipes his forehead and opens the water stone with his sweat. As they gather around the last box, Korben takes out the final piece from his matchbox. He lights it up, revealing the firestone. He goes back to Leeloo, wakes her up and begs her to save them. Leeloo says there's no point in saving a world with nothing to live for. Korben breaks down, pouring his heart out, saying there are things worth saving, like love. He tells Leeloo he needs her. In the final moments, Korben confesses his love and kisses her. Just as the fireball is about to hit Earth, 4 beams of light shoot from the stones and hit Leeloo, activating the ultimate weapon. A blinding light bursts from Leeloo, stopping the fireball. Korben holds on as they feel the incredible force. After a few seconds, it's confirmed. The fireball is gone and humanity is saved. Korben takes the exhausted Leeloo in his arms and they return to Earth as heroes. The president wants to visit, but the scientists say they aren't ready. In a recovery chamber, Korben and Leeloo share a passionate embrace and make love. Here the story ends. If you like this story, then you can watch more of our videos, and you can also subscribe to this channel for such videos.